Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I have to say all three because obviously we're all over the world. And welcome to Ladies Go Live podcast, series 1, Power Behind the Woman, episode 7. So I'm actually going to say, I always call you KK. How do you pronounce your first name?
Kaushika.
Kaushika. It's very beautiful. I always hear it and I always go to say it and I'm like, and I always go, it's KK. And it's kind of...
It's totally fine.
But that also shows exactly, you get to know someone a little bit. You get to know them by a certain name, or you get to know a little bit about them, and you kind of forget to delve that little bit deeper. So today we're going to delve a bit deeper into who you are. So obviously I'm just babbling now, but obviously tell us, who are you? What do you do? And what's the amazing things that we're up to?
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Liz, so much. And I'm so appreciative of you asking me to do this today. I think it's so important to just get to know people. You and I live across the pond from each other. So it's amazing that, we got connected because of COVID times, and we wouldn't have otherwise. So my name is Kaushika Kansara, also known as KK. I live in the greater Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. I was actually born in London, England, so I do have my ties to the other side of the pond. I have 2 sisters and a brother. All live kind of all over the place, and I have a son and a husband, and we live very nicely in our suburban area of outside of Philadelphia. I am an executive client relationship manager. Right now, I have a diversity, equity, and inclusion focus. I'm looking to meet with business owners and business executives to talk to them about how their DE&I has surfaced within their organization. It's a very big topic right now. It's a very big focus for organizations, and they certainly could use some guidance, and I would like to be that person for them. I'm also consulting with the Mainline Chamber of Commerce, which is located right outside of the greater Philadelphia area. We work with businesses, always looking to see if other organizations would be interested in joining our chamber to increase their community and networking needs. So reach out to me for that. And I also am a board member of Help Hope Live. They are headquartered in Pennsylvania, but have a national scope with helping organizations, or actually people and clients who have catastrophic illnesses or transplants, even cancer-related illnesses that need help with medical and non-medical expenses that can occur, obviously, with those type of illnesses. So I'm proud to be a board member for them. So yeah.
Do you have any other time for yourself?
Things I do for myself. I do love working out, and a lot of people think, oh gosh, working out is a chore or something that I'll get to, and especially with pandemic, when does that happen? How does it happen? But I've been working out since I was like high school, college days. I had a milestone that I wanted to achieve on my 35th and my 40th birthdays. And I wanted to run half marathons. I didn't quite do the whole, but I did train to do half marathons, both of those milestones. Yeah. That was a feat because I had never ran like that in my life. I hadn't even done 5Ks, let alone train for a half marathon. So it was such a great, exhilarating experience to cross the finish line, that all that training and hard work was so important and necessary, not just for physical, but for your mental well-being. I love Zumba. Haven't done that in a little while, but I'd love to. I love doing my kickboxing. I have a great local gym, 9 Rounds. I want to give them a shout out because they certainly have helped me within the last 5 years to be mentally and physically strong. And And yoga, try to fit that in once or twice a week. So yeah, my days are filled. I do sleep a few hours a day too.
I would hope so. You need a bit of energy, a bit of a recharge. But obviously, we've got quite a few supporters, and of course, George has raised his latest one. So, of course, hello to everyone that's listening. But obviously, refocusing the business can obviously re-image disruptive ecosystem. Oh, I can get my words out today. Ecosystem is vital. So obviously, you got loads of support. I mean, that's just phenomenal. The fact is, you can be that busy with all your work projects and everything, but yet you still have all that time for not just one physical activity, but a diverse range of physical activity.
But the thing about that is actually putting it into your daily routine somewhere. If it means you have to put it in to a calendar, put it in a time, schedule those moments for yourself. It's vitally important. Pre-pandemic, when I was, commuting to work, I would actually, because mornings felt better to work out, I was getting up 4 a.m. and going to my gym. And yes, it was hard the first few times, but I had to make it a routine. If I didn't get it in the morning, a lot of times coming home from work wasn't always feasible. Especially, I do a lot of networking events, and I'm very involved in the community. So I, wanted some of those things happen after hours, or they happen right after work. So then by the time getting home, it might be a little more difficult. Now during the pandemic, I still felt like mornings were a good time. I'm not necessarily getting up 4 o'clock in the morning as much as I used to, but I'm still trying to fit in the morning routine so that once I do that, I can get my day started.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of what it is, isn't it? It's that routine. So even if it's your working day, it's that routine that you start at a certain time, or if you're working out occasionally in the morning and then the evening, it's your body doesn't even know what's going on.
Oh yeah, you absolutely. And I've gotten to the point where when I don't work out or I take off a few days, you feel it. You definitely know that, okay, it's time to get it. And it's also important, and I will say this, that you do take rest here and there. So if you've been working out for a long period of time, it's okay if you take a few days off to replenish, get yourself maybe doing something else, just so your body can react a little bit to that rest that's needed. Because sometimes overworking out or doing things all the time can be harmful as well, because your body is used to doing something a certain way, and you're not giving them any surprise.
So you're winning my heart over. You're saying everything, all the right things. I'm like very happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is that sort of the balance of work, rest, training. It's a little bit of everything, and with everything. So obviously you experience the benefits. You experience the things when it doesn't happen. So why do you think, particularly for professionals and business owners, that it's not just the physical? Why do we need to look after the mental well-being as well?
So much is taking place when you're really involved in whatever you do. If you're a leader in your organization, if you are a team member, that takes a lot out of you, mostly mentally, and especially during this past year with, there were days that I felt like I didn't get up from my chair for 8 to 10 hours. And I know that's a real problem with many people these days, thinking that if they leave their spot, that maybe they're perceived as they're not doing their jobs, or they're not being productive. When we think about when we were in the workplace, for many of us, we weren't sitting necessarily at our desks that amount of time. We might be walking over to a colleague's cubicle or office, and you might be just chit-chatting, banter, or whatever, just having a conversation that's not related to work.
Yeah.
We don't have that as much anymore. And we seem to have gotten into this pattern of work, we've got to be productive all the time.
Yeah.
Now, I have a 20-year-old son that's in college, so I'm not necessarily the mom that has to kind of watch all of the, my kids' efforts or anything like that. But I do feel for parents that have to navigate throughout their day. So this is another reason for having that mental and physical well-being for the individual. And I know I can understand. I have my own sister has a set of 11-year-old triplets, and they're in school. Yeah. So
wow.
They're amazing kids. I actually just had them over the weekend my sister a break, but they're amazing little kids, but they still need that attention.
Yeah.
My sister worked full time, so it's very, there's that balance, and she sometimes finds that difficult, and so I can completely understand, especially women. And there was an alarming statistic out that several million women have had to not work or give up their jobs because of the pandemic and what they've had to do. That's a sad, really sad statistic that has to happen. Obviously, we can't change the world right away, but that's obviously something that needs to be talked about, and how can we help our society understand that we're all human. We all need to work, for most of us. Or if we were working and we couldn't anymore, we still need to. So there's definitely a crisis there, and not having mental and physical well-being along with all of that it just starts to increase more things, and then you start not just mentally feeling down, then your physical is going to start to deteriorate too. So it's definitely needs to be defocused on as well. So,
and there's definitely something there, because obviously physical, you have less energy, so of course you rush around trying to look after the kids, you're trying to stay awake, and then you're just exhausted in the evening. And obviously we've just been asking how to gain more time, but you highlighted, I used to get up at 4 to go to the gym. So when something's important, you will make the time for it, you'll prioritize it, but you also put that balance. So you saw, using your example, this is my time for my workout. I work out best. It sets me up for my day. I feel good when I work out. It fits into my routine, and it doesn't drain my time. Okay, I've got to get up at 4. But then you sit there going, can I still get my enough sleep? Can I still fit in what I need to? And are the positives outweighing the fact that my alarm has to go off a little bit early? I can tell you now, 4 a.m. in the summer, not a problem. In the winter, 6 will 6 from 6.
Yes, it's definitely a lot more difficult when it's colder outside. And like I said, again, with the pandemic, I haven't needed to necessarily get up at 4 o'clock because I don't need to commute somewhere. But I'm still needing to get up early enough so I can fit that in before my day starts. Otherwise, you get into like, that will wait. I can do it later. And a lot of times what we end up doing is pushing off our own personal interests to later. And then it doesn't get done. And then we get frustrated because we weren't able to do it. But, as especially women, we're big caretakers. We're big, on, I'll give up what I need to do so that I can take care of others. And we realize that, but you have to take care of yourself in order to be that. And that's as a business professional, you're also working with your clients. If you're not physically, mentally there, how are you going to be able to take care of, the people that are depending on you and expecting that kind of help? So,
and you hit all the pain points I hit with my clients. So, as if it was me. Thanks. But it's true, because it's not just one person. It's not just, this is not your experience. This is what professionals experience. I don't have the time. Or if your mum, particularly the pandemic has seen this, I've got to give something up so I can do this for somebody else. And what happens? Mum doesn't sleep. Mum feels taken on the world. A lot of pressure. I mean, we've seen figures here in the UK, you know, and obviously we say men's mental health is on higher, you know, the higher rates, but a lot of the women have borne the brunt of this pandemic, and it's actually knocking on.
Absolutely. It certainly has. And I myself, I actually suffered from COVID last year. And my father had done so as well, and he was hospitalized.
Yeah.
So there, you know, on top of myself having it and my father being hospitalized having it, there was a lot of stress, and a lot, you know, a lot went into, you know, is my dad going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? Luckily, he has made it through, and you know, he's doing much better. But you know, those when you're sick, you're already kind of in that position where you feel helpless.
Yeah.
And for me, I had mild symptoms. I didn't necessarily need to be hospitalized or go to the hospital, but it did knock me out. Knowing that I've had a pretty good, healthy lifestyle, working out, eating fairly well, drinking my water daily, you know, the things that I know I need to do. But when this hit you, and this is what can happen in many different illnesses, is things can hit you and you may not even expect it, because it's you don't know how it will affect you, even if you're the healthiest person. I mean, I've been hearing of people having like heart attacks, and they're the healthiest people, and they're in their 30s and 40s, and it's really you know, you gotta, I understand that, you know, even taking care of yourself may not limit those kinds of things from happening. You can do the best that you can. But my motto is really to live and love life. So even though I'm doing some of these things that I know are good for me, I also need to understand that you have to live and love the life that we have today. I tragically lost my sister's daughter, who died of cancer. She was only 12 when that happened. And then, yes, and then my other sister, who had with the triplets, she lost her husband almost 3 years ago to cancer. So our family has definitely endured a lot of pain, and not, you know, these are young people that had nothing happen prior to them being diagnosed with these illnesses. And it puts a different perspective on your life, and to really, you know that you have to live for the moment. So you know, I'm grateful for my family, because we've been definitely able to have that. And
it's important. I mean, like you say, there's something, you can't fight things. I mean, one of my favorite shares is take care of your well-being now, or wellness now, so later you don't have to make time for your illness. And that's the thing, because it doesn't mean you're not going to get something. It doesn't mean you're immune, but it means that you're probably in a better position to fight, or like with COVID, get less, you know. I mean, I'm very sorry for your losses. That's really, you know, that's quite tragic, but it's, you know, it just shows that life is short, you know.
It really is. And it's definitely brought a good perspective to all facets of my life, whether it's personal or professional, that being kind, you know, being there for others, being a leader is so important, because if you know, take those things for granted, a lot of times, you know, unfortunately, things happen that you're not able to overcome. So that's really important.
I'm completely heart touched by all this. So let's move on. So we'll twist the subject now, because obviously that's such a moving story. So I really thank you for sharing. So if we go back to looking at you professionally, why do you think, you know, obviously working out gives you body confidence, it gives you self-confidence, it builds you up. Why do you think that's important as a professional?
Well, it gives you that strength, knowing that you know again, you might be dependent on, or you have to give a presentation, or you may have to do an interview on camera. And it's almost like you kind of have these mantras that you go through, before the actual thing occurs. So before you give your presentation, before you're interviewing, before you speak to your group, or you're working a project with people on your team, being prepared, but mentally having that strength to know that, you can do it. You are able to overcome whatever obstacles. And what I've seen with organizations and companies that have overcome during the pandemic is usually the leadership that has embraced, okay, we got a crisis on our hands. We know we've got to do things. So calmly, let's come together and let's figure these things out. And that builds up more strength. So when you have that support, like I rely so much on my girlfriends. I have mentors and cohorts that really just help build each other up. Having had experience with, I was, at one point, the only female in an all male team. So having had that, I always wanted to reach out to my friends or people that are professional, especially women, to be mentors and to help. So I rely on that too, as a professional, that, you need that. You need that as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a support network.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, actually, I saw Damon put a post up this morning, and I just put, I'm thankful I've got someone amazing like you around, because I was like, and he's like, I said, well, the 5 people you put yourself with, they're going to build you up, they'll support you, they'll celebrate successes with you, they'll know when like a loss or pain is, really hit you, it could be loss of a job, for example, that can really, because people, I mean, I had it, and I'm sure you, because that was my career. I was like, when I was in the army, I was like, that was my career. That was what I wanted to do. And then, of course, I'm like, oh, no, what am I doing now? And, you can get that sort of lost feeling. And those people that are with you are the ones that really inspire you, drive you forwards, listen if you want to vent, which
Absolutely.
is important.
It is. I had a 2-decade career that I had lost, and it was devastating, because my, goal was, that was where I was going to be. And that's, I was going to continue on. It was very humbling, and I did need to find a different path, and learned a lot, because I made, some mistakes along the way, and just needed to really understand who I was, and know that that place, that company didn't define who I was. It was my brand. Like, I have a brand, and that's what defines what I'm capable of doing and how I can present myself. And it was a hard lesson to learn, because a lot of times, especially when we're one of the biggest characteristics I have is loyalty. And I have a huge loyalty for not just, my family, my friends, but also to different commitments I have, whether it's with a professional job, whether it's with an organization. I tend to be very loyal, and that doesn't always come back to you, whether it's personal or professional. And you begin to really understand that you have a brand yourself, and that those companies, those organizations don't define who you are. You define who you are.
Yeah. Very wise words there. Just before we move on, I'm just going to, obviously, Carl's just put a comment in saying, obviously, sorry for your loss. He's lost 3 family members to COVID in the past 6 weeks. So he's obviously built such resiliency. So obviously, Carl, do use the support network you've got. And thank you for sharing such vulnerability with us.
Yes,
kind of feeling heart touched by both you guys and your stories. Obviously, the fact is, the strength and resilience that comes from the fact that you're in a good place within yourself. the fact you can share this with us?
It does take that resilience. And I mean, obviously there's been so much loss, and I can't even imagine, like, with my father being hospitalized with COVID, there were all kinds of things going into our family's heads, and myself, like, what's going to happen? We don't know. We weren't able to see my father during that time either. So there was, a lot of that anxiety, and, millions of people are going through that right now all over the world. And it's devastating how, we're now having to cope with that. Like, when my family members were diagnosed with cancer, we were at least able to be with them, be around them. In these times, I don't know what we would have done had we not been able to hold their hands or give them hugs. So I'm giving all you guys virtual, like, hugs and love, because this is hard. This is difficult. And reach out to your support group. Reach out to those that you love and trust. And if you have a bubble of people that you're able to go to, reach out to them and have them be your guiding lights.
Yeah. Again, more wise words. So, a lady full of wisdom. So, with all this wisdom, if you were to go back and say something to your 18-year-old self, what would it be? What advice would you give her?
That is so funny you said that, because I have a 20-year-old, so I always talk to him. I'm talking to myself way back when. I would definitely say to follow your passion more. Really learn to really understand and appreciate people that come into your life, whether it's for a season or forever, a day or two, or just to understand and embrace the fact that you're meeting somebody, and be kind. I think not that I wasn't kind when I was 18. I just was probably immature going to college. Yeah. But really just embrace the connections that you make, because right now, even with, I have a pretty large connection base, but I'm always meeting new people, and I'm wanting to learn more about people, and I'm opening myself to understand, where it is. If I'm in a networking group, my focus isn't necessarily like, I want to meet you because you're going to help necessarily my organization or my business, or or my growing of anything. It's really because, what can I do to help you meet other people? I've really focused on doing that more so than anything else. Is what am I able to contribute when I meet someone? And you've been phenomenal when we've you and I met on a different networking group, and you've been inspirational about health and wellness, and I'm listening, and how else can I help you? Let people know about what you do to help others, because what your mission is also to help the wellness, physical, mental, emotional well-being of others.
I mean, I was asked this yesterday, and someone said, "What?" And I just said, "I want to help as many people as I can be healthy." And I was like, and everything I keep doing is trying to think, how can I hit more people? And it's not always, okay, I'm a business. I can't hide that. I am a business. I got to do, and it's just a job to do. But at the end of the day, it's those values, those networks, those relationships.
That's right. It is. I'm telling you, I'm a huge, that's probably why that's my role. I'm an executive client relationship manager. I love building relationships with people. Even if I meet you for the first time, don't be afraid to have a conversation. Conversations are free. We can talk for free. Do
you want to see the comments just come up? I'm a boss lady coach. Thanks, Rodney.
Awesome. I can. You're a leader lady coach. Let's change that word, boss lady.
I'm like, boss lady. Yeah. That's because I kept him in check for a little while. Again, another part of my skills. But I'm actually going to highlight this one as well. So actually, I'm very sorry to hear about this, but actually very glad to hear that you've come through, you survived. and that you are still with us. So Rashid, I hope I pronounced that correct. Lovely. Thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah.
So obviously we could keep talking for hours because you've got so much inspiration, so many wise words. I'm so glad that we got connected and actually managed to start talking. And I do believe we have a lot more conversations to have. However, I can't go on forever today.
I know.
So obviously, other than your wise words, what is, for our listeners, what's one bit of advice that you would give them to do today?
Again, live and love your life in the present. Because that's very important.
Yeah. So obviously, I put in the comment your LinkedIn post page. Let's get the words and your email address. Are those the best ways to get hold of you?
Yes, those are the best ways. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just pop a message that you saw me on this recording or this video, and I'd love to connect with you. And hopefully, we can help you in other ways.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And connect with Liz because she will help you with your physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
I just need more of me. I could do it all.
Okay, me too. And let's clone us.
It has been fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone for listening and sharing and joining us on. I say it's only been a 30-minute journey, but it's been an amazing one. So thank you all.